The next match, 12 rounds of boxing for the Commonwealth Light, Middleweight, and Canadian Super Welterweight titles. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with the white trim, here is Manny the Teacher Sobral.
The first time I met Manny was when he did his practicum here. He's a great teacher. When he's actually here and in PE strip or whatever, he's got his glasses on and he looks very calm, cool, and collected. And then when you see him out in the ring, it's a totally different story.
Of course, they knew me as Mr. Sobral. One of the students, Mike Arano, I remember, he said, "You're Mr. Sobral, eh? You related to that boxer, Manny Sobral?" And I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I am." What I like about teaching is that every day is different.
As both Manny Sobral and Tony Padilla have been throwing quite a few punches.
Because I came to Canada when I was close to 6 years old and I didn't know a word of English, I became very shy because you're always conscious of what you're saying and all. And so boxing became, almost a savior for me because it made me a lot more talkative and more confident with myself. The first gym that I went to was a gym called the Inner City Gym. It was part of the Western Sports Center on Main and Hastings, kind of really sleazy part of town, but through my teenage years, this is where I spent the most amount of time. The bulk of my memories are from here, and some great memories they were because we'd keep cold beer ready in the ice maker.
Why not move? First met Manny Sobral probably about 1983 or 1984. And that was when he was boxing at Shamrock Boxing Club, which is in the unit block East Hastings. He struck me as just another kid that was boxing, although he did show a lot of determination and he definitely was committed.
I wasn't good at boxing to begin with. I had to become good at it by training hard. Of course, my ultimate goal was to box for Canada at the Olympic Games and the '88 Olympic Games. And one of the things that I remember the most is walking into the opening ceremonies stadium and maybe seeing 100,000 people. There was tiers of people looking over. It was just amazing. And after the Olympics, meeting all the different athletes and getting to know some more of the sports a lot more in depth, I knew I wanted to learn more about how the human body worked, so I wanted to get a phys ed degree, which I did, and I also wanted to learn more about my background, which is Spanish, and took some Spanish courses at UBC, and I double majored in phys ed and Spanish, and then boxed at the Agrodome in the finals of the Tough Man competition, which I'd won, and came away with $11,000, enough money to pay back most of my student loans that I'd incurred over the 5 years of studies, and it brought me back into boxing as well, because boxing, it's very hard to leave your blood.
Sobral, of course, the fighting teacher.
I thought it was unusual with Manny in that most fighters fight out of a financial need professionally, but Manny, being a school teacher, had a good career to fall back on, and I was impressed by his single-mindedness, I think.
I was given another opportunity to box and built up a record of 26-0. For my professional career, the pinnacle of my career is probably winning the IBO world title. The biggest payday would have to be $25,000 that I received when I beat Tony Padilla the first time, because it was a winner-take-all.
Well, I knew there was some animosity between them. Tony Padilla has trained down here for lengthy periods of time, both with Manny around and not with Manny around. There was no ill will there. I think the ill will came as a result of the loss in the first fight and just the general build up to fights, the hype, the excitement. So there was definitely some other issues, other agendas being resolved that night.
And the fight with Padilla was for the Commonwealth Championship. It was a good fight, a good stepping stone fight for Manny, and that could have led to bigger things, and maybe even a world title shot.
It started all right. The first round was pretty even round. I was a bit over anxious maybe, and wasn't really boxing my fight because it just wasn't as focused as I should be. And the second round, I get caught with a left-right, and I knew the left hook was coming, so I take a quick step back and sort of get caught with a glancing shot near the top of the head with the left hook. And my leg twisting, and that's when the ligaments in my right ankle were torn and the fibula was broken.
Manny felt there was a problem after the second round, but his corner totally downplayed it, said it was all in his imagination to ignore it.
Well, when I went back to the corner, I basically expressed my concern for my leg, and Jerome Coffey, not really, I just told him that my effing leg was just killing me. And, his response was, well, who gives a fuck about your leg? Just get out there and fight.
And he fought on for 4 rounds with this incredible handicap, and of course with the adrenaline pumping, I guess the pain simply wasn't that apparent at the time to him.
My mobility was pretty much shot. I couldn't move all that much, and so I was more of a stationary target. I had that sense of urgency that I had to get this over with because I knew this leg was going to just give out any second. And in the third round, I also got cut. I reopened a cut over my left eye, and it was the same cut that I had sustained 6 weeks prior to the match, and just got bigger and bigger. And then the right eye got cut, and then the nose started bleeding. My nose never bleeds.
Yeah, we're only a short time into this fight, folks, and Manny Sobral looks like he's already gone 10 rounds.
Everything just went wrong for me that night, and just progressively got worse.
Sobral's face completely bloodied now.
The fight was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It was just a horrible thing. It was, and because you're totally powerless, and you're hoping Manny just stay down, because he kept giving out on his leg, and it wasn't so much that he got hit, but it was just he was losing his balance and he kept going down, and it was just, in my heart I knew he's not going to stay down, and I just wanted him not to keep getting up, and he kept getting up, and he was bloodier and bloodier, and it was just, I was really hoping somebody would stop it.
It's like a hospital in the Sobral corner. And boy, this has been one of the bloodiest brawls we have seen in quite some time.
I saw it on TV on a replay, and I couldn't watch all of it. It was too brutal. And by too brutal, when you know somebody as well as I think I know Manny, and when you see someone getting hurt as badly as Manny was getting hurt, I couldn't watch. I watched it later on after, the first time I watched it, I just turned the TV off, and then I watched it the second time. Finally saw the whole thing.
One more time, but there's little left in Manny Sobral's tank. Look at that face, folks. He's trying to hang in, and it's game over.
As soon as they stopped the fight, I jumped up. My first instinct was to go in the ring, and then all of a sudden there was just something. A very good friend of Manny's, Marcello Dakotas, said, "Are you okay?" And I just started falling apart, and I just burst into tears. And I thought the last things he needs is me, in there, upset, hysterically crying.
It's disheartening for me, knowing that I put everything I had into this fight. I'm not going to be a boxer that continues on trying to overcome this by continuing to fight. I think what I'll do is, if the right opportunities come along, Manny Sobral will be back in the ring.
It's going to be very difficult for him to quit. He loves it so much, as he always says, he loves boxing. In a way, it's really sad the way it's ended up.
One of the other teachers here calls him a true Superman.
If you can ask anyone where will they be in 20 years, I'll probably... That's a great question.